Well, yeah. I mean, originally, I remember my first time I went to Federal Tap House downtown, and Aeneas Hawkins was sitting with PJ Mustipher and a couple other guys, and it was a little scary until I realized he had a mohawk at 21. So I was no longer afraid.
And Doc, again, took heed to my orders, took heed to my instruction, and that is how he's turned into the student he's become today.
I'll tell you what, I was too afraid to approach any of the real football players in that class, so they pointed me to Hawk, who at that point was called Pigeon. And
wait, I never heard that nickname. Where did that nickname come from?
Okay. He hadn't earned the name Hawk. I was not warmed up for this moment. I pulled my quad in this foot pursuit. I dived and landed on my shoulder and hurt my shoulder too. I get up, I jog to the sideline. I sit down on the cooler. I said I pulled my hamstring, and they're like, "Yo, it wasn't a fumble. Go back out there." I said, "No, I can't. I just had a lacrosse game, and now I'm playing basketball. This isn't fair." And my mom said, "You don't train like an elite athlete. You don't train like an elite athlete, and your mentality is poor. That's why you had the game you had."
Wait, you're how old at this point?
I was 8 years old. You don't train
like I walk up to my dad on the couch. I'm like, yo, did you see my touchdown? He rolls over. He's like, "You're soft. You're out of shape. Hit the treadmill." Rolls back over and closes his eyes again. I sprint downstairs to my room, and you mentioned closing doors softly but with enthusiasm. And I stood in front of the mirror and just like looking at my hands and crying. The coaching staff in Cincinnati had me convinced that I was LeBron and that the city needed me. So I'm ready, obviously, to make that kind of impact. And thank God my dad didn't let me do that, because I never panned out as a player. So if I would have been in Cincinnati, I'll take the Penn State degree 10 times out of 10.
I'm not old enough for this question.
Not even old enough. Jerry's 16 and a half still. Bill Belichick is.
Yeah, right.
Jerry got his earner's permit, man.
College football tees, college basketball tees, whatever you need, Mercury has you covered with the best merch out there. We're talking about high quality clothing, inexpensive, and the best part is I have a 15% discount for everybody who goes and gets some right now. Use the code below, hit the link in the description, and go get your merch now. Use the code to get 15% off. What are you waiting on? Go do it.
Man, what's up, y'all? Here, Jerry Cross back with my guys, Aeneas Hawkins, and Nick Dawkins back with my dog, Landon. Big time guest.
Yeah, one of the most anticipated guests. People have been requesting him from here to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yep. Thank you to our fans at Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Aeneas Hawkins is actually joining us. He's running a little late. I don't understand how that happens. But appreciate you coming through. Aeneas, thank you for coming through, Landon.
Yeah, I'm not going to address the backhanded comments. Tengwall, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. We've talked about this for quite some time, and I'm not sure what took us so long to make this happen. But it's a pleasure to have you here today, brother.
Yeah, I'm excited to be on, man. I always watch it, man. I have a good time watching it, good laugh. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, Landon always hits me up and will give me some critique on the episode, let me know like what I need to work on.
Wow.
And I think that goes back to being a player, man. Always critiquing me.
Nah, this guy's lying, bro.
Nah, that's real. That's real. That is real. You do be hitting me up like, yo, like this, that, and the third. He'll let me know the good points of the episodes and stuff like that. And really, it makes a lot of sense to me because you have your own show going on right now. You want to plug that real quick?
Yeah, I do. It's so right now I do every Sunday I do a show on Keystone Sports Radio. Just kind of talking Penn State football, college football, everything kind of going on in the football world right now. A lot of NIL talk. And then coming up in March, I will have my own podcast, the Landon Tengwall podcast. Ooh, okay. I'm planning on my first guest is sitting right here next to me, so I'm hoping to get him on. It's going to be a good time. But no, I'm excited to showcase a lot of content. Obviously, being on the team, knowing everybody, knowing their backstory, being able to tell it, and then through NIL. Everybody now, you're able to showcase your personalities. Before NIL, no one really knew who was who, what they were about. Mm-hmm. You just saw someone under a helmet. So now I feel like it's cool. I'm going to have the opportunity to showcase what people are really about and kind of tell their story. So I've had a real good time so far in what I've done in the broadcasting, radio world, but definitely a lot more to get into for me.
And really, let's jump into that, man. And you have such a unique perspective. I mean, you were one of the highest touted recruits coming out of Maryland, coming out of a powerhouse WCAC conference that doesn't compare to Parkland High School, but just coming out of, a powerhouse high school and coming here, playing as a freshman, playing at an elite level as a freshman, going in your sophomore year playing, like you've been playing well at Penn State, and to have that, be done for you now. How have you adjusted? How do you feel? How are you overcoming adversity?
Yeah, obviously it was real hard at first. I think anybody knows that when you have to step away from the game of football, I think Hawk can speak to this. It doesn't matter really how it even happened. It's going to be hard, and you're so used to being on that schedule, looking at teamworks on your phone, and you got every single second of your day mapped out for you, and that kind of just goes away. So first off, I feel like there can be that lost feeling where you feel like you don't have a purpose. Because you're not going into the building every single day with saying, okay, I got lift, I got this, I'm a stretch, hit the cold tubs. You don't really need to do any of that. So there is some of that, kind of refinding your purpose.
Yeah.
And I feel like, college football is such a competitive environment that it's hard. You can't really replicate that in any way, but you got to just try and find as many ways as possible. I've been in the IM leagues with a little basketball, man, dropping, 22 and 18, something like that.
22 and 18
bro? 22 points and 18 boards.
Wow.
Okay, I want to know first of all, there is nobody taking books in these games. I don't even want to hear that there's somebody there keeping track of any of these points. These are just you allocating points to your own record.
We have no way to fact check.
Yeah,
no, we don't.
I'll tell you what, that's a weird lie to tell. 22 points in a regular game.
But are you surprised? Are you surprised that Landon Tengwall comes on here and starts just making up numbers of what he's doing in his basketball league?
He gave himself a double-double in a regular league.
It was almost 20 and 20, actually.
What was the average height of the guys you were playing against?
Probably about 5'8".
I mean, guy just failed Cast 101 and he just got dropped off by Landon Tengwall.
They did. Well, I was walking on the court with a wife beater on, and they looked a little intimidated. I said, "Don't worry, man, I'm horrible." But they were just so small. I was down there catching the boards, putting them back up, and then my man Ibrahim Traore, fellow offensive lineman here at Penn State, me and him were kind of running the floor there, and taking names. We put up about 65 points combined, something like that.
Absolutely not. Yeah. No way. I don't think you're putting 65 up by yourself. You're going to shoot around.
What kind of games y'all playing? Like
it was
21?
It's 10-minute quarters, man, and it's a good time. So I highly recommend it. There's a couple other guys on the team that actually made their own team. Devon Townley, among others.
Real hoop.
Trey Wallace.
Some real hoop.
It's a good time. But now, kind of getting back to it, that's something I enjoy. I've been golfing a lot. Obviously, it's been the winter time. Golfing something I really enjoy. And then I try to work out every single day. For anybody that's been around me, I love working out, looking good. And that was a big part of it. For a while there, I kind of just lost that feeling of wanting to get after it, waking up every day. Because it's, like I said, in college football, you just have to come with that dog mindset every single day, or else, you're going to fall behind. So when you don't have to have that anymore, it's hard to find a place to then put all that effort. And even like aggression and stuff like that. So whatever it may be, going to the YMCA, hitting the punching bag, lifting weights. I swim a lot at the Y as well. Doc knows he's a former YMCA employee here at State College.
Shout out Cindy Lupton.
There you go. So definitely just finding different things to allocate my time towards it and finding other passions. And then obviously, getting into, my major is broadcast journalism. So it kind of just fit starting with a couple of different radio shows. And then the podcast that I mentioned earlier is going to be a part of Fox Penn State. So, obviously there's a lot of prep that can go into that stuff and something I can put a lot of my time into. And it's just something I really enjoy doing, conversating with people and just being able to show people's personality and get to know them.
That's really cool that you've been able to find a new identity. I feel like, when you get done playing football, and we both experienced it, there's so many guys who really struggle with the identity piece afterwards. You mentioned that you kind of got stuck initially upon retirement in a space where you didn't really want to work or maybe didn't even know what to put the work in towards. How did you jumpstart that to get to where you are now, where you're doing radio, you're doing shows, you got all these things cooking? What did it take to get out of that hole?
Yeah, obviously you have that initial time, and everybody knows where you kind of feel sorry for yourself a little bit. And you're sitting there, and some days you barely even get out of bed. Like it was a really tough time for me. But honestly, it was a lot of lettermen that helped me. Talking to people that have already experienced this, where they're having to step away from the game, because it was great, and I had a ton of people, Doc, Lou, other guys coming over and visiting me. But it's also hard because they don't really have that perspective at all and to understand. So it's nice when getting a call from Aeneas Hawkins. A lot of other guys I've talked to a ton of different lettermen that have really helped me, understand that it's going to take some time to get past it, but just giving me advice and just understanding that they've been through it. And it was just, I felt the love from the Penn State community. That is one thing I will be forever thankful for, that I chose Penn State, because I feel like in situations like this, a lot of times coaches would be like, all right, you're retired, whatever, just get on and move on. But it's not like that at all here. I just feel constant support, and coaches still checking in on me, making sure I'm good, players, lettermen, all that type of stuff. So it's just meant a lot to me, and honestly, that has helped me want to get back up on my feet, and people trying to drag me out and say, hey, let's go to this, let's go do this event. Hey, do you want to come film this? That type of stuff has been, really beneficial, just kind of getting me back to being Landon again. Because for a while there, you feel like you kind of lose your identity. As a college football player, you kind of get wrapped up into it, and you feel like that's, I'm Landon Tengwall, the football player, but you got to realize you have a lot more to offer than just football in this world. So, and that's one thing that, like I said, it took me a little bit to realize, but through the help of players, lettermen, coaches, and just the Penn State family in general, got out of that really quick, and back around and just doing everything I can to help out the program, and then continue to just get after it every day in a different way now, but still bring that energy each and every day.
Yeah, to piggyback off that, I think though, like even now, football players and just all different type of athletes, they think like, oh, I play football or I play basketball. Like that's what you are. Realistically, like we talk about this all the time. I talk to Doc about this all the time. Football gonna end one day, basketball gonna end one day. You gotta really find something that, find something outside the sport that can bring you further in life. Like you more than an athlete. Like football, yes, you play football, but like when you're not in the facility, like you're a regular person, you have regular obligations. So I feel like that's something that really just everybody got to work on. Just not focusing specifically on football and like invest your other talents. Like for me, it's my clothing brand, and like even doing this podcast, which I'm new to. So I feel like it's just something that you just gotta just
good plug right there actually for the clothing brand. I got a couple pieces of that, but no, you're absolutely right, man. And it's funny. It's people look, even these guys who have storied like 10, 12-year career in the NFL, it actually even hits them harder, I'd say. Yeah. And people think oh, that's so great for them. Go enjoy time with their family. But they don't realize it is so difficult when you've lived this life for some of these guys 20 plus 25 years playing since you were 10, and that's all taken away. And now it's just go hang out with your family. A lot of guys aren't good at that, man. It's just like I have to have something to allocate all my energy towards. So I definitely think that's something that needs to be paid a little bit more attention, is helping athletes move on to that next step. So that's definitely something I would be interested in the future, kind of getting involved into, is helping athletes transition from that life of just, that constant grind life to a life of normalcy, kind of just being a civilian again. And it's not an easy transition. So as you know, Hawk, you big time guy over there on the Penn State D squad.
I was about to ask, like, are you concerned that now there is another Penn State football player who is no longer playing, that is real game experience in real pivotal games, real competition, not FCS opponents and such like that. And that's tearing it up right now in the sports journalism, the sports broadcasting, radios and podcasts. Are you at all concerned that someone with real game experience and analytics might come in and take over? Because right now you're the Penn State football guy with the inside the huddle information, but you have a guy that may take that spot. Like, what are you doing to separate yourself? Like, going to what Landon was talking about, competition, finding that drive. Like, does this fuel you at all?
Yeah, no. So I made a burner account, and I plan on just anytime any Landon Tengwall content comes out, anytime he's talking about the team or giving some of that insight you talk to from that true game experience, I'm just going to demean and undermine every one of those clips until his media career is no more. No, but in all seriousness, it's exciting to see Tengwall come into his own as a broadcaster, getting into the media space. To me, it's a blessing to see my guys, my young guys at that. My two of my youngest.
Yeah, Ji'Ayir.
Jerry's not even, he's like my grandson for real. Just in terms of like the pyramid of age and rank here. So I'm not gonna sit here and be terrorized by two guys that I helped literally raised in college, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, originally, I remember my first time I went to Federal Tap House downtown, and Aeneas Hawkins was sitting with PJ Mustipher and a couple other guys, and it was a little scary until I realized he had a mohawk at 21. So I was no longer afraid.
And it's funny you say that he helped raise us, especially because I lived with the guy and had to take care of him on multiple occasions in terms of how to dress, what to eat, what to put in your body, what time to wake up at, making sure he's awake to be at workouts. And that's me at 18 years old.
Yeah. So you would you say you raised the
I'll
Hawk?
put it like this, and I think a lot of people maybe listening may not understand this, but in some families, what ends up happening is a parent has a child and they have a bunch more children. And the oldest sibling ends up actually raising the younger kids, but also they actually end up raising the parent as well, showing them.
Were we talking about this earlier today?
Yes,
before the live?
And I think it just so happened that I understood through real life experience what it takes to be a man.
Okay.
And I had to implement that into Aeneas Hawkins.
Okay, so Aeneas Hawkins taught you how to be somewhat of a father figure.
For him.
Oh.
Yeah,
You see how it doesn't make any sense?
Well,
You see how
it
you're having a
seems
hard
as
time
though so
following?
you were forced into this role.
Yeah, like he displayed signs that were, demeaning to himself. And I think, and I don't know if you're a believer in faith, but God literally put me in his life to help him be a better man.
This is funny. This is funny to listen to. I remember when Doc got onto campus, we actually had the same class together. And I remember he approached me after class. He's like, yo, how serious is Coach Franklin about sitting in the front row and being 10 minutes early? Yeah. I'm like, Doc, it's not even Franklin you got to worry about. When I get here, you better be in the front row. You better be there before I am because I'm going to be there 10 minutes early every time. And Doc, again, took heed to my orders, took heed to my instruction, and that is how he's turned into the student he's become today.
I'll tell you what, I was too afraid to approach any of the real football players in that class, so they pointed me to Hawk, who at that point was called Pigeon. And
Wait, I never heard that nickname. Where did that nickname come from?
Okay.
He hadn't earned the name Hawk.
So this is what had happened. So when I got to school, this is a real story, actually. I got to school, everybody called me Hawk. It was Hawk, Hawk, Hawk this, Hawk that. We do enough Lions prize my freshman year. We had a senior linebacker at the time named Jarvis Miller. And Jarvis came to the locker room one day after I had lost another Lions pride and was like, listen, you're not Hawk anymore, you're Pigeon. And the entire locker room, the coaching staff, they began to call me Pigeon. But you know what they then called me after that? Was Jungle Cat. You understand what I'm saying? I came back from nothing.
What does that mean?
I came back from the bottom.
I thought it was Meatball.
No.
Where did that come into play?
Jungle Cat? Where'd you go?
Where did that come into play?
That was the first week of training camp, my freshman year. I was about 37% body fat. That's not what we're here to discuss. Listen up. Are you paying too much for health insurance? Are you tired of reading these long, extensive policies the health insurance companies put out? Meet Patrick Mowdy of Mowdy Health. He's a Penn State letterman. Patrick leverages years of experience to offer customized insurance solutions. Those solutions help you develop a coverage game plan to cover the safety and well-being of you and your family. Mowdy Health, one broker, endless solutions.
Meatball.
I'm not sure how we got here. And listen,
No, talk about Jungle. I want to hear about Jungle Cat. I had never heard of it.
yeah, well, what had happened was they saw me rip opposite Doc's face in pre-practice one-on-ones, and they were like, you have the quickness of a Jungle Cat, and that's how that stuck around.
Yeah,
you can actually thank Doc for that nickname's creation.
Quite honestly, I never went against him in any pre-practice one-on-one because we were both so horrible when I was younger and when he was older. That would have been a waste of
Why did you clarify that? You were
because I was 17 and he was
right.
20.
Okay.
So, but anyway,
I don't think I ever actually got to go against a Hawk in a one-on-one. That I really recall. I don't think I ever got that. But you mentioned pre-practice one-on-ones, and it kind of took me to my welcome to college football moment. I just wanted to share that real quick.
Yo, look at him finding our segments. And
this is what he does.
This is how you know he's a professional.
Well, no, it got brought up, and it kind of just registered in my mind.
Okay.
It was spring ball, and you get here as an early enrollee freshman. It's not easy. Everything's flying 1,000 miles an hour at you. And I get out there. It's practice 3. We just put the pads on, and I'm shaking, man. I'm coming out of Greenberg locker room. It's COVID. I don't even have a locker. I'm getting dressed in front of a science lab sink.
Yep.
And it was a bad time, man. I get out there, and me and Smith Vilbert line up, and I'm at right tackle. I played left tackle my whole high school career, so I'm not really comfortable as an offensive lineman. You know what that's like, switching positions. And the whistle blows, Trout blows the whistle, and 2 seconds later, I am flat on my back. Smith Vilbert bull rushed me and put me all the way into the dirt and then stood over top of me and let me hear about it. And I heard the whole team, and Franklin got over me. He said, "Get up." And so that was my welcome to college football moment. I don't know if you guys have any good stories there, Mr. Jerry Cross. I actually have a memory in my head, but
tell me,
please share.
Well, I just remember being on the sideline maybe last year, maybe a little bit longer, and I've never seen someone get hit so hard. I really don't remember who it was.
Ball, right?
Spring ball. You got lit up.
Let's talk about that.
Yo.
So, spring ball, one of the scrimmage days on a Saturday. Saturdays, all the recruits and stuff there. I think
the coaches act different when they're
I think Tavon Austin was there that day.
Oh, I remember that.
I
remember that.
Avon Austin was
So
there.
I'm running like a deep crossing route. Like I see the ball. I'm like, okay, I'm finna catch this. I catch the ball. I turn. I see Makai. I think it was either Makai Flowers or KJ. It was both of them though, right there. Knocked the wind out of me. But like it was the slowest fall I ever had in my life. It's like I absorbed it, but like I fell and I dropped my knees. Makai fell immediately. So I'm just laying there. I'm like, KJ trying to help me up. I'm like, move, just move. I look around, everything bright. I see Tessa. I'm good. So I get up and walk to the sideline. I had to gather myself. Then I'm back in 1 or 2 plays later. But yeah, that was definitely a welcome to college moment. It took a while to get there though, but man.
I don't know if this has been talked about on the pod, man, but I have to bring this up. Nick Dawkins, man. You know exactly where I'm going with this. One of your first times getting in a college football game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Can you
man.
please run us down this story? This is my favorite story.
This guy's interviewing me right now. Like this is crazy that a guest is just taking over our show. But yeah, my first really collegiate play, I was on field goal in 2021. So I was getting some snaps to which I thought were important, but whatever. So I was on field goal, doing my thing on field goal. We're playing Villanova 2021. It's looking good for the boy. We're getting later in the fourth quarter. Big 6'6" at that point. I'm 53. Big 6'6" got the call up. They said, "Doc, let's go. Let's go run this huddle." You know what I mean? At center. Get in there, make my ID. Got Bryce After to my left. I'm like, yeah, we're in business now. Got Big Wig with me, Des Holmes. Yeah, we got the guys. The boys are ready to roll. Run that first play, rip that middle zone, crease it, 8-yard gain. I'm like, yeah, we're just going to touchdown. Like, I'm the general of this offensive line, man. We getting to it.
Wait,
Second play.
pause. Is that where the general came from? Like nickname the general?
Yeah.
A lot of nicknames.
When did they start calling you the
Wait,
general?
I thought it was the mayor.
Yeah, the mayor, I don't know, man. Just anything of leadership. That's what it get documented as. But, we get to the second play.
Okay.
And my boy Tank Cinco, Big Tank, one of, the most slept-on running backs in Penn State football history, is back there toting a pill. Get another middle zone, the same exact play, right after the first one. So, they're in a 3-down front. I displaced my man. It cuts right off my tail. I'm like, oh, he creased it again. 8-yard gain. This is the mistake, though. Big Tanko is trying to get that extra yard. Reached a little bit. Fumble. The ball hits the ground. At this point, I'm more concerned about who I'm blocking, so I'm just in his mouth. I'm like, I'm in there.
You where?
I'm in there. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I was not there. So one of the safeties picks the ball up and starts hauling tail, boy.
I forgot about this.
He's like, yeah, he's about to score. So in my heroic display of camaraderie for the team and commitment to being 1-0, I turn the Jets on, okay? I turn and start sprinting. Bryce After, one of the vets that I was looking up to at that point, goes to make the play to start it off. He dives and tears his pec and missed the tackle.
Wait, hold on. He's not even close, though. He does. The guy is a whole 5 yards away from him.
he tears
Tears the pec. He's out. He rolls to his side. He's defeated. I see this. See my OG go down. I understand what's next for me. I'm like, it's my turn. I'm the last line of defense. I'm the safety. Hauling. Boom, boom. Some context. I had not been on the field besides field goal, which is one step. I was not warmed up for this moment. I pulled my quad in this foot pursuit. I pulled my quad. I dive, okay? Just to make it look, like this was truly an enriching moment. I dive and land on my shoulder and hurt my shoulder too. I get up. The guy scores a touchdown. But it turned out that it wasn't actually a fumble. His knee was down. Oh. So I get up. I dust myself off. I jog to the sideline. I sit down on the cooler. I said I pulled my hamstring. Even though it was my quad, I was distraught. And they're like, yo, it wasn't a fumble. Go back out there. I said, no, I can't. I apologize, I can't. Coach, I'm done. I can't. And he's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Like, who is this guy telling me, I can't go in? Well, yeah, so I was out for 3 weeks after that.
It was a serious injury, I remember.
So, I was so mad after that, too, because, I was my first college snaps, my family was up there, because I was thinking I might be getting in the game and everything, and they wanted to go to tailgate, and I couldn't, move my right leg. I was just swinging it around. Everyone was having fun, and I was just mad. And I was mad at champs off campus eating
Yeah, we did go to Champs.
Yeah.
We did. That's the same day PJ Mustipher's dad at lunch. This is fresh off of the game. Now, at this point, PJ Mustipher is a captain of Penn State football. He's like the clear leader on the defensive line. He knows how to play football. He's like 21, 22. We're sitting there eating our food at Champs downtown. Nobody's really talking. All of a sudden, PJ's dad looks up and was like, so you didn't have much of a plan with your hands in pass rush today at all, did you? You didn't have a plan. PJ's like, what are you talking about? I had a sack. Doesn't count. You didn't have a plan, and I could tell you didn't. I'm like, bro, it was just crazy to see PJ Mustipher getting pressed by his dad while eating lasagna at Champs downtown. It was crazy to watch.
And it was even wilder is when you look back at some of the historic data behind that.
Yep.
His dad would sit there with the binoculars and take notes during the game. So he had a real bird's eye view of what was going on. PJ Mustipher was getting critiqued, so it was good. That was really good.
Last story about Mr. Mustipher. It's a training camp practice. We're at Beaver Stadium, and his dad came to the practice. So you know that little corner where the O-line and D-line does one-on-ones? So PJ jumped off sides like one time, and his dad like kind of clapped his hands real loud and was pissed. But then he did it again the very next rep. And I see PJ's dad spike his baseball head in the stands and turn around and refuse to watch the rep.
Has Christopher Tengwall ever elicited a reaction? Or maybe, what about the All-American
Yeah. No, ride homes with him were never good. My dad, he's a big dude, very intimidating. But, you know, if it wasn't a perfect game or a perfect camp, you know, those Under Armour, Nike Open type camps, if I lost one rep, it wasn't a good ride home. And the worst part is, you know, he never played ball. He played water polo. So I'm sitting there getting lectured by a guy, you know, that played water polo his whole career, and he's telling me how my punch needs to get better. So that one hurt a little bit worse. And, you know, he would say some insulting things. But actually my favorite story, and I hope he watches this, I was at the Under Armour All-American camp, and you know, he's looking down. He's up on a hill, right? It's a big hill. And I win my rep, right? I look up. I see my dad, and he's laying on the ground, bro. Big Chris, as everybody knows him. He's laying on the ground. And I'm like, I've never known my father to lay on the grass. And so it turns out this dude, he tore up his knee. I think he tore his meniscus. He tore his meniscus watching me play football. So I think maybe he celebrated the one-on-one win. But that's one of my favorite stories of my dad in football. But, yeah, never a good ride home with my pops, man.
What about Jerry Scott? You know, has Jerry Scott ever, you know, talked about your play? Jerry Scott is his grandfather, by the way. Has he ever, you know, give you any sort of reaction to your play, give you any critiques about your game?
Man, still now to this day, he don't even have to be here. He still lectures me on what I need to do. Starting going back to the Pee Wee days, if I didn't catch a pass or he felt like I wasn't running hard enough, the whole ride back home, and then we in the house is going to, you know, go to that. Even when I was hooping the AAU tournaments, it's the whole ride back home. We talking, oh, you could have did this, you could have did this. My granddad, though, he real intense, but I don't know. I wouldn't be here without him, so, you know.
Yeah, look, like, my dad played in the NBA. I was playing youth basketball. My dad didn't even critique me. My mom did. I remember there was one time I got in the car, and I hope you're watching this, Janice Dawkins.
Shout out Miss Janice.
Yeah, shout out Miss Janice. So I get in the car, and, you know, I had poor performance. Man, it was a bad day for the Dawkins family. And whenever I had a bad game, like, my parents wouldn't try to make it seem like it, but they were embarrassed. You know what I mean? That you just let the Dawkins
How bad was the
down.
performance?
I feel like I've seen him play basketball. I feel like there was a lot of bad days.
What I do, yeah, so the reality of the situation is, man, I'm not a hooper. Okay, never was. I'm playing center for Penn State, not center for the Sixers like my dad, unfortunately. So, you know, just got off an abysmal performance, man. Probably just fouled out of the game. Probably was like 1 for 11. But let me just say something. My man didn't score. Okay, but either way, 1 for 11. My team was counting on me to put up some points. Didn't do that. Got out rebounded too. That was a heart issue. I had no heart that game. I wasn't into it, and I complained to my mom. I'm like, I just had a lacrosse game and now I'm playing basketball. This isn't fair. And my mom said, "You don't train like an elite athlete." You don't train like an elite athlete, and your mentality is poor. That's why you had the game you had.
Wait, you're how old at this point?
I was 8 years old. You don't train like an elite athlete. My dad had never, ever said anything like that. My dad would take me to get ice cream. He'd be like, no sprinkles because you lost, but like sprinkles are for winners. But like my mom had just lectured me, and this was like, you know, I was a pretty good kid. I never really talked back, but for some reason, this didn't sit right with me. Because why is my NBA father not critiquing me? But my mom is, who played in the marching band in high school. So I'm like, nah, this doesn't seem right. I said, Mom, how are you to tell me that? You never even played a sport.
Wow.
She said, no, but I know what it takes. But I know what it takes. And you didn't have it today. So you're going to apologize to your coaches when you go back.
Wow.
So, yeah, I didn't talk back after that one. That one hurt the heart. I had to go back. That's one of those days where you close the door soft and start whisper yelling in your room. You're not even on punishment, but you feel like it.
Yeah. My first real football game was in the 8th grade, and my dad played the NFL. Mm-hmm. So obviously it's important to me how he responds to how I'm playing. I've never played football before. I didn't do really anything the entire game. At the end of the first half, they threw like a bomb up, caught it, like 60-yard touchdown, first touchdown ever. I'm so excited. I get back home, my dad's sitting on the couch. Now, again, my dad is like, he's never been a yeller or a screamer. He just means what he says, and it's like very, you're a kid, right? I walk up to my dad on the couch. I'm like, yo, did you see my touchdown? He rolls over. He's like, you're soft, you're out of shape. Hit the treadmill. Rolls back over and closes his eyes again. I sprint downstairs to my room, and you mentioned closing doors softly but with enthusiasm. Mm-hmm. And I stood in front of the mirror and just like looking at my hands and crying. The next game I had like 19 tackles. So it's important sometimes to get, a little bit of that motivation from your parents. So,
it is, yeah. They got to light a fire under you. But I do have to give some credit to my pops, big Chris Tengwall, man. I was a wide receiver in 8th grade. I had the videos. I keep it on my phone of me catching a post route about a 40-yard touchdown. No, not at all. Well, actually, yeah. When the body was when I was playing, and every day the body gets beat up in the trenches, I would look out at a guy like Keandre Lambert-Smith and maybe wish I was him. Mm-hmm. But he helped me put a lot of weight on. I was about 180 pounds and 6'5" in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. And then here comes spring ball. We had a spring ball league for the high school team, but for all the 8th grade guys coming in, that kind of helps filter them in. Mm-hmm. And by that time, 4 or 5 months later after the fall season, I was about 275 pounds.
Okay, yeah, that's crazy already.
So 275 is insane.
But it was almost about 100 pounds. And I'll tell you what, it was protein shakes every day.
What was the time span that you went from 185 to 275?
Just about, I would say about November, I was about 185, and then come April, May, I was about 275.
And so half a year.
How many meals a day? What was it looking like?
Well, so my middle school didn't start till about 9:15. So I was waking up, workout. My papa, my dad's dad, he was taking me to the YMCA every morning at 5 a.m. I still credit him creating my work ethic, right? So I work out in the morning, come back, eat a big breakfast, protein shake. I would have snacks on me at school. My dad, my mom, they make sure I was equipped with the snacks, constantly feeding, man, because I knew what I needed to do to play offensive line. My dad looked at me, he said, look, you're too slow to do this, man. He said, you have absolutely horrible speed. You're not going to make any money or go to college for free if you want to be a wide receiver.
He said, that's on you. Your genetics. You should have been faster.
We weren't even meant to play land sports, bro. I told you he was a water polo player. As was I started. And so it was constantly I was eating the whole day, and then I would come home again after school and then work out again. So I was getting like 2 workouts in a day, and I was eating a ton of calories, two peanut butter sandwiches before bed, man, just trying to get as many calories in. And honestly, it was pretty good weight. Like, obviously, I don't look like I look now, but for being, 13, 14, it was some really good weight on me. And that allowed me to then come up here, 8th grade going into the summertime. I came up here, and I still like I'm going to claim on to this now that I'm retired, clamping up Ji'Ayir Gross Matos as an 8th grader. And I think he was an incoming freshman almost at the time. And that Lime Grover seemed to like that, the offensive line coach at the time. And I won MVP. And then shortly after, I think I had an offer before my 9th grade season even started.
Talk to the people about what it's like to get major scholarship offers at 13 or 14 years old. Crazy. That's not typical.
Yeah, no, it's crazy, man. It's a lot, and if you don't know how to handle it or have the right people around you, I think that can turn out really bad really quickly. But thankfully, my family, my friends, I've had a lot of people that around me that have played sports at a higher level, and they were able to speak to me and help me kind of understand that this is a responsibility now. You can't just be out there doing anything. Yep. You have to understand what you have at stake each day out there. So, but it was fun though. It was fun. I mean, I'm coming out after freshman year. I got to go to All-American game for freshmen. I had 30 plus offers. Went down, visited Alabama, got to meet Nick Saban, all that type of stuff that you dream of as a kid playing college football. So having those experiences early on my freshman year was really cool. But one thing it kind of allowed me to do was be a leader for the Penn State class because I got to experience all that stuff early on.
Right.
I was pretty much ready to be committed by the end of my freshman year. I had visited everywhere I wanted to. And then I didn't end up committing till junior year. My dad didn't want me to commit yet and wanted me to kind of enjoy the process, which I'm very happy he did that. Was able to take trips to other schools and, make connections and meet a lot of great people. But it was a very cool experience, man. And, I'm thankful for all of it and thankful I went through everything. It taught me a lot of life lessons.
And Jerry, you were also really high. You were like at one point the number one tight end in the country, right?
Yeah.
So how was that for you? Especially because you're coming from you were playing at Rufus King High School, man. Like that's not a powerhouse school per se.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was just different. Like my freshman year, I didn't really do too much. I had a few long passes. I had 400 yards my freshman year receiving. But sophomore year, that's what really kind of opened it up for me. Sophomore year, I came back. I had 900 yards, and I had I led the state in touchdown. I had 17 touchdowns. But after that year, it was Wisconsin. They would start hitting me up. They come to my school every other week, and it was Iowa State, pretty much the whole Big Ten, and it spanned out of Pac-12. And it spanned to a few SEC schools, and then Florida State offered me at some point. But I don't know. For me, all my offers, it came towards kind of COVID. COVID kind of helped me out a lot because, like I said, I only really played 2 years of high school, if I'm being really honest. I played my freshman and sophomore year, didn't have a junior year. My senior year, I ended up having a high ankle sprain where I pretty much missed the whole season. I only played 3 games. But for me, it was just, I don't know. For me, it was just time to really sit and talk to my family about it. I was still working out during COVID. So that kind of kept my mind off, getting big-headed and everything like that. But for me, it was just I was just wanting to find the best situation I can for me. It's the position I was playing. Because I knew eventually I was going to be getting switched to tight end because I was 225, 6'5" at receiver. I know I was still growing. I was 16, 17 years old. So for me, it was just, just finding the best fit for me. And then I wouldn't really like too much looking at the Bama and Georgia. I had big schools and everything, but for me, like I was telling you, it's just the best fit that I can probably find for me in my future. So that's what kind of led me here.
Wait, real quick, 17 touchdowns. Were you just a jump ball guy? They were throwing that thing up for you.
I only ran 3 routes my whole high school career.
What were they?
Slant, post, and the fade.
That's all you need, baby. You
don't need nothing else, man.
Yeah, everyone here, except for me, really had offers to Alabama and Georgia. Did you actually all think you could play there, or was that just that's
Wait,
cool.
Hawk had an offer to Alabama?
I had all the offers. They tried to.
I didn't have a Bama offer. I had a Georgia interest and Alabama interest. I never had an offer from them, though. Bro.
Yeah. No, I had the offers. Yeah. This is what you got to understand, Tengwall. You know what I mean? I let people get their jokes off. You know what I mean? Because my college career was what it was. That's 4 years of receipts, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I can't really dispute that. But what I'll tell you is I was not in my prime at Penn State. Really, as soon as I got here, it was the demise. My senior year, I broke my foot twice. And then I never was the same, literally from that moment on. So my junior year, I had a good year, and then the big schools came. I actually have a funny story that I've never shared on camera before. So I got down to my top 2, and I'm from Cincinnati. My dad played football at the University of Cincinnati, and at that time, Luke Fickell had just gotten into town. And it was really exciting. People were excited about the Bearcats again. And Luke Fickell and his staff were recruiting me really hard. Now, I grew up a diehard Cincinnati Bearcat fan. I'm talking about diehard. So when Fickell and them came, I initially, before that, was really leaning hard towards coming to Penn State. But after about 3 months of Fickell being there, I had my mind made up, literally come the day before I made my commitment video, that I was going to go to Cincinnati. So I'll never forget this. I'm at my senior team photos, how the football guys, whatever, we take pictures downtown. I call my dad, yo, I'm about to follow in your footsteps. I'm going to be a Cincinnati Bearcat. I just wanted you to be the first to know. He's like, yeah, you're not going to Cincinnati. You're going to Penn State. Give Coach Franklin a call. Hangs up the phone. Call him back 3 times, no answer. We ended up having a conversation that night. He said I was making the wrong choice. I needed to think more clearly, and that I was his father and needed to be respectful. So I ended up calling Coach Franklin.
Got forced. Well, Aeneas Hawkins was forced here.
Now, I will say, obviously, I love Penn State. From a top-down level, it was clear that Penn State was the right choice. But the coaching staff in Cincinnati had me convinced that I was LeBron and that the city needed me. So I'm ready, obviously, to make that kind of impact. And thank God my dad didn't let me do that because I never panned out as a player. So if I would have been at Cincinnati, I'll take the Penn State degree 10 times out of 10.
Well, yeah, I will say you mentioned your commitment video, and I didn't get a chance to see that video until I was about a year in here. So if you want a good laugh, please go look up Aeneas Hawkins' commitment video. It is absolutely worth it.
Revolutionary. Now, I want to change the topic here to some things that are going on actively as we speak. Big news this week, obviously, is the NCAA football game. Obviously, two of you guys are active current athletes. Me and Tengwall, unfortunately, are missing NCAA football, and we won't be on the game. But how do you guys feel, number one, about the game being released, being on the game, and then number two, with the $600 compensation? I'm out of the loop. What is the general consensus about that with active players?
All right, so firstly, and I said this before on one of our first podcasts, get my rating right, okay? And I don't mean be fair. Make it accurate. This is not a threat.
What's an accurate rating for you? Give me an estimate.
You know what I say? When you look at ratings, right, you just look at the skill and all. You know, they don't talk about intangibility in the ratings. Factor that in. Factor in leadership. Factor in being a locker room guy. I'm in the high 80s. Now, from a play standpoint, it's not looking good for me.
Not looking great.
You know what? As long as I'm above a 70, I'll be happy. You need 70s in this world, man. You need 3-star recruits. You need guys like that to fill the roster.
So do you think you will be above a 70? Where are we thinking you'll be at? If you had to put a number on it right now, a guess, on camera, what would it be?
Give me a 76 overall.
You think you're 76?
Give me a 76 overall. But when you talk about, like, the actual compensation and, like, talking about giving us a free game and $600, when you look at, like, the grand scheme of all of college football, like all these FBS programs and everyone's getting $600, everyone receiving the same thing, I mean, it seems fair to me because at the end of the day, you're going to play the season. If there's no NCAA game, you were still going to play the next year. You're basically getting paid to do nothing. You know what I mean? Like, sure, there's going to be other guys that their likeness is going to be factored into the game more, and they'll probably be compensated differently than other guys. But for me, as an offensive lineman at Penn State University, $600 is fine for me to literally be in a game. Just get my rating right.
Yeah, I think we all grew up obviously wanting that again. It stopped in 2014. But at the end of the day, I just think it's cool. It's something you're going to be able to show your kids. And, you know, $600 is obviously not a ton of money, but like Doc just said, you're going to want that game anyway. You're getting it for free.
Right.
Everybody's going to be playing it.
$600 is a lot of money.
Okay, I mean, it's a good shot. Well, okay, listen.
Polo pants all right, with the off-white. $600 a lot of money.
We're talking.
Big money guy, Travis Kelce, bro.
Hey, don't do that.
Chubby Travis Kelce.
Nah, man. Well, no, I'm just talking in NIL terms. We know what type of deals these are that everybody's getting in it. Obviously, it's not a ton compared to that, but you know, just the ability to just be in a football game is obviously really cool, and everybody had those dreams kind of growing up. So I think that's plenty of compensation. You think about how many guys the NCAA does have to pay. That's a lot of people to take care of. So,
Tengwall, what do you think your overall would have been though?
Oh, man.
Cool 88.
No. I was in high 70s, maybe low 80s. The strength would have been up there.
What would the strength have been?
Strength would have been like, I would have hoped to have been like 91. But if actually, they got to factor in this guy's squat and his deadlift.
If his squat's in there.
I think people don't realize, you know, he looks like a big, strong guy, but you don't actually realize how much weight he can put on his back.
Thick lower half.
Yeah, thick lower half. And I've seen him take some weight up and down many a times with Jeffrey Earls, you know, motivating him in his face, and Nick Dawkins gets it done in the weight room. So I hope to see his strength rating in the high 90s, actually. Wow, I would appreciate that. So I hope NCAA rating adjuster.
Get Nick Dawkins' ratings right, man.
Yeah, there you go.
Cross thoughts, and what is your overall?
My overall, I haven't done nothing yet, so I'm being in the 60s. But at release, I'll say like mid-60s. But I'll give it to like August, September. I'll be in like the mid-70s. I'm giving it.
Okay.
If you make me a 55 overall, the city of Allentown will feel it.
Whoa.
That's wild.
The city of Allentown will not stand for that, man. They will not tolerate that. I'm just saying that right now.
Protests.
NCAA, EA Sports, be known. If you violate me on my rating, the city of Allentown will indeed ride for me. That's all I'll say.
Wow. Okay, well...
Man, no, I was just gonna say, just on the compensation, you know, I don't really know how it works from a top down level. I don't know how that, that should be spread or what the fair payment is. But I do know that the entire generation unanimously has been clamoring for this game to come back.
Free copy.
It's been a decade. You get a free copy of it. I can't think of anything more anticipated. Maybe GTA 6.
Yeah,
but I mean,
I've been waiting for that my whole life.
Yeah, right. So this is right there.
What would your rating be?
Yeah, so that's the thing, right? So 2 things. Okay.
No. Just give me the rating. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear an explanation.
At my best, let's call it 2019. I think I'm a solid 70, and here's why. Here's why, bro. Because the agility in the D tackle room. People say what they want. I'm not the fastest guy, but if we had a D tackle record board for the 20-yard shuttle, Aeneas Hawkins' name would be top 3 behind Hakeem and Zane, and that's it. So off of that, I'm a 70 pass rush threat. You look at the potential, you look at the locker room presence. I'm a guy that you got to rank 70. A couple things before I finish. I had somebody text me, and they meant this very genuinely. So I didn't take it as disrespect. But they were like, yo, you hear about the NCAA game? I'm like, yeah, I'm excited. They were like, hopefully they do an all-time Penn State team, #27. I'm like, bro, I'm not going to be on the all-time Penn State team either way, gang. That's not going to go down.
I don't know who else wore 27, but I'd have to think whatever 27 would make it over you.
Whatever other 27.
Whatever any other 27.
My op would be Jaden Sider. He's the other one.
Well,
yeah, okay.
Okay, never mind. You win, actually. Anyway.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm at a loss.
Okay, I'm
trying to understand something.
Yep. Listen up. Are you paying too much for health insurance? Are you tired of reading these long, extensive policies the health insurance companies put out? Meet Patrick Mowdy of Mowdy Health. He's a Penn State letterman. Patrick leverages years of experience to offer customized insurance solutions. Those solutions help you develop a coverage game plan to cover the safety and well-being of you and your family. Mowdy Health, one broker, endless solutions.
So in 2019, that was your prime, you would say?
At Penn State, that was my best.
Yeah, at Penn State. So not including high school. Okay.
No, if we include, okay, go ahead.
So a 70 overall, a 70 grade, and is a passing grade.
Yep.
How many reps in game
Yep.
did you take at Penn State in 2019?
14 in 2019.
Okay, now were any of them against an FBS opponent?
I can't speak to that.
How many how many tackles did you have in that year?
I had 1.
Okay. What about that
Right.
exhibits a 70 overall?
Right. Well, that was the thing. The way I was flashing, were they FCS opponents? Yeah, but I had a pressure against Idaho. Okay, against
I remember that game, watching that. Everybody on the D-line had a sack except for him.
It was me. But listen, they threw a holding flag on the one I almost had a sack on. I legitimately almost had a sack, and the dude horse collar body slammed me. They threw the flag. I did the thing on the field. And I remember doing the thing and looking at the stands and realizing nobody was even at the game anymore because we were up by 72. I'm like, I got no credit. Nobody saw that happen. But it's all right.
Well, let's give them a rating at the same time. Tell me,
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
65.
What you say?
65.
Okay.
65.
I gave you a 62. I thought. What
did you say?
57. I said 57. I didn't even go that.
That's all right.
Isn't 55 the lowest you go? I think.
Yeah,
I think my toughest
that's
factor
going
is
to
higher than
2K.
yours. My toughest factor was definitely up.
You retired from football.
I did. I did.
Early.
I did. I was I had like 7 surgeries. I had multiple major.
Well, I don't know. We're talking a lot about ratings, and then guys are talking about locker room and grit and these categories that are actually not on the ratings at all. That kind of worries me as far as the ratings we're going to receive here.
Whatever, man.
I'm hoping good for the guys. And I saw Nick Singleton put out a I'm in the game tweet today. Hopefully he's getting compensated well from EA Sports. And so some guys are getting some good looks off of that.
I put that up, and EA tweeted at me to delete it. So I deleted it. And they said, do something like that again, you won't be in the game. So I'm sending it out on social media right now. I'm tapped out.
That's crazy. I want to ask more current events. We just got past the Super Bowl. We haven't talked since the Super Bowl. Penn State guy Ji'Ayir Brown with the interception. We got to talk about it.
Crazy,
the great Ji'Ayir Brown.
I got to talk about it.
Please.
I put this in the group chat. I didn't send it. It wasn't in a group chat with Doc, but I showed people. I have a timestamp. It was around 11 a.m. in the morning. I sent it to my other friends. I said, Ji'Ayir Brown, interception today, book it. I can pull it up. I still have a screenshot of it. And I called it.
So you called it?
I called it. I felt it. I literally woke up and I said, Tigger's going to get a pick today in the Super Bowl. And Doc seen the screenshot. He saw the timestamp.
Yeah.
I called it, man. So I just want to put that out there. He is a guy that's going to be in the league for a while and someone who is just a natural-born football player. So, but in all seriousness, though, it was really exciting to see that moment for him. And we all know that how much he deserved a moment like that in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I mean, dude, Tig is one of the best speakers I've seen as a leader.
The voice.
He took, a lot of the guys, the JUCO guys that come in, the hashtag JUCO products, they say, they're almost like a battalion, a quadrant of individuals that come in specifically from Lackawanna. I don't know what they do.
Hey, didn't you say you were running the Lac?
Yeah, if I was at Lackawanna, I probably would have ran it. But besides that point, all the guys, please Lackawanna people, please leave me alone. I don't want any smoke with any of you. But guys that come from Lac, I don't know what they do or out there.
They're ready.
But they come back. First, they talk about it like it was a prison sentence, okay? So they come back from the Lac, like, hardened by the trials and the tribulations, okay? And then they produce immediately.
Yep.
And they're just tough. And yeah, literally, look at like you got like Anthony Wiggin, you got Tig, you got you got Tyrese Mills that just came in, Anthony Wiggin, Jaquan Brisker. Like these guys all came in and were immediate impacts based off of their toughness, based off of their skill, and based off of their athletic ability. And it's crazy to see like the guys that come in like that, ready to compete, ready to play, and they're ready for the moment.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It reminds me when Jaquan Brisker came into school. Jaquan wore number 27 at Lackawanna. So I didn't know Jaquan at this time. I had met him like after a practice. And a couple weeks before he gets to school, he DMs me on Twitter. He's like, yo, like, number 27 means a lot to me. Like, I would love the opportunity to wear it. Like, what are you thinking? Like, can we make this happen? And just respect, nah, bro, like, you can't get this off of me, man. Like, that's just what it is. So, Brizzy, I'm sorry, bro, but I think that was important to your development. Obviously, what did he wear here? Number 1? Number 9, something like that. 7. That's what it was. 7 and 1. Yeah. So shout out Brizzy. But those Lac boys do come in prepared.
Yeah.
They're ready. So Tig gets an interception. I want to ask about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift because again, it seems like you've taken the time to deliberately copy Travis Kelce's entire swag. Yeah. So first, let's ask you about the relationship itself. Have you been following? What are your thoughts? I know some people that think that the relationship itself is just a marketing ploy, and time will reveal that. But where do you stand on this love spectrum?
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually saw something that the New York Times put out, and you know everybody's got these gripes that Taylor Swift has way too much airtime on these broadcasts, and I saw something. She's actually only ever been less than 30 seconds on every single game that the Chiefs have been in, which is still a decent amount of airtime. But when you think about, I know it's during the game, when you think about commercials and how many other people are athletes, celebrities, like all this stuff is shown, it's not that bad. And we understand what it does for the NFL, man. The fan base that it has brought over that they just had no access to, that it just completely opened them up. I mean, they were salivating at the mouth when they saw that relationship come about. But, it seems genuine, and obviously it's very beneficial for somewhat for both of their careers. Not that Taylor really needs that, right. But Travis is definitely killing it off that relationship. But, hey, I say good for them, and, enjoy it.
Dog, do you have any thoughts here?
Not really. I mean, any chance Taylor Swift thought she had with me is definitely out the window. Can't be out there like kissing dude up on social media. There's better to come back to me.
So she's got no shot with you anymore.
We are done, bro. Whatever they thought they had with me is clipped.
Don't you even think about hitting dog company?
Yeah, don't even try that, man. So.
Look, can I ask on that note? So Usher's halftime performance.
Oh Lord!
So let's talk about it. I understand at a certain point you're performers.
No,
it's the Super Bowl show. You already know. We're already getting no's. I'm just, to be as rational as I can be in this moment. I just don't see a world where Usher dances with my girlfriend the same way that he danced with Alicia Keys in front of millions. What are your guys' takes?
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, that's insane. I was literally sitting there watching, like, no way. And like she was smiling, like she was really engaged into it. It was not like she was trying to get away from. I had people take my phone saying, "Oh yeah, she was trying to get away." No, she wasn't.
No. Well, I like people texting you about it. That makes sense. not switch Cross. Well, are you serious, Jerry? They said, Usher. He said Usher and her dancing together. Let me text Jerry Cross about this. No, but in all seriousness, though, Swiss Beats, who has been with Alicia Keys for a long, long time, he's a big time producer. Yeah. He put out a statement essentially saying, "You're not going to take this away from my wife.
Right.
You're not going to turn this around." So I definitely respect him kind of coming out in defense of his wife.
Yep.
At the same time, that I don't know if that would be me, man. I don't. The way, as Jerry mentioned, she seemed like she was really just smiling, really enjoying it. And you know, Usher, man, I just don't want a guy like Usher kind of grinding up on my girl, man. I don't like it. And in front of the whole world at that, I just think it was a little bit disrespectful. But you know, people enjoyed it, I suppose. I thought it was a pretty overall compared to other halftime shows, kind of average. I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was great either.
Doc. Yeah, I mean, you look at the different, you know, actually, never mind, man. Come on, man. Like, firstly, like, yo, have some respect, man. Like, anyone that enjoyed seeing that, you're evil. You like seeing that? You like seeing like the amazement in a woman's eyes when she's touched by another man? Come on. You enjoyed that? Evil, for one. For two, you look at the difference on Twitter and on Facebook with anything, but more specifically a halftime show. You go on Twitter, wow, flawless. Like literally it'll be like maybe someone will tweet out, Usher is the president of the United States in excitement for his performance.
Yep.
Then you go on Facebook and someone puts like a avatar of their like 60-year-old grandmother will put her avatar of herself, memoji, and be like, thumbs down emoji, this stinks, period. Like, it's the difference between demographics and what they enjoy and everything like that. But, man, I tell you what, just for that, too, Alicia Keys, you lost your chance with me. I don't like how you act in a relationship like that. So you're off the list as well. Usher, man, have some respect, man. Have some respect.
He was just married, too. Like,
and he got engaged right after that. So he did that. He said, yeah, I could have had your woman. And I'm gonna go get engaged in mine.
I just don't know if I have the mental toughness for it. Like, I get that they're performers. I get it. I mean, again, shout out Swiss Beats for putting out the statement and all that. I'm not mentally tough enough to handle.
I can't do that.
No, I couldn't.
You're a strong man, man. I commend you for having the mental toughness in order to do that. But I don't have that, man. I couldn't, like, even if like my girlfriend was like an actress, like, and she's over there like kissing Michael B. Jordan.
No.
Like I'm gonna cry.
What if she said I was pretending it was you?
No.
I'm like, what? I say I can see how you can make that comparison. Like, I see how you can confuse us too.
Yeah.
But it's not the same, babe. I'm not Michael B. Jordan. You know what I mean? So I'm not eating. I'm not eating for a week. I know I get confused for him. But, like, I'm not Michael B. Jordan.
Wait, tell me. Who is confusing him for you?
Ask, like, 7 women right now.
There's 7 of them. Yeah,
just 7. Don't ask 8. But, like, I'm just saying, like, I can't. I don't have. I mean, maybe my masculinity is too fragile.
Nah, call it what you want.
Yeah, call it whatever you want to call it, man. I don't have the pride. My pride is too heavy, man. I wear it like a crown, man. I don't want to let it slip. So I can't have that, man. So
yeah, no, it was a good halftime show. Though.
It was.
But man, as far as the game, Patrick Mahomes taking home his 3rd Super Bowl trophy.
Yeah.
You know, looking for a 3-peat. That's what they're talking about in Kansas City. What do you guys think as far as the talk has been comparing him to Tom Brady? Can he catch Brady? Can he be the GOAT?
I'm passionate about this. I
definitely think he can catch him. Like, if you look at his accolades right now compared to where Tom Brady was, he definitely have the chance if he keep it at the pace he's going right now.
I think the thing is, if you just are using the eyeball test, you can watch Patrick Mahomes play right now and say there's never been anybody that played quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. I think that goes without question. I think people know that. The question now, though, is the same thing with LeBron James. We got to talk about the fact that Brady made the cookie stretch for 20 years in the NFL. That's unprecedented. So to me, the longevity factor is important. Obviously, the Super Bowl count, I think he's got a shot to go do it. But to just assume that Patrick Mahomes is going to stay healthy and be able to play long enough to go catch all those accolades in the game of football is tough for me just to sit there and assume still. And another thing with Brady that I got to respect is that a lot of times, I mean, Mahomes did it this year, but a lot of times that receiving core wasn't a whole lot of anybody. And he was still making it work. Goes down 28-3, puts on the best Super Bowl comeback of all time, second to none. He just has done so much that I think we gotta slow down.
What if those accolades get passed, though, in the less amount of years than Tom Brady?
And then he's got to be the one. He's got to be the one because, again, he already passes the eyeball test.
Yeah.
I watch him play, and I'm like, this is the best quarterback to ever live.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think what's interesting, if you kind of put it in perspective, Mahomes, I believe, is about 28 years old. That's 17 more years if he played as long as Brady did. Now, obviously, Brady, we've seen his regimen and how serious he takes care of his body, and also a completely different style of play that Mahomes, I don't think it's as sustainable, going down his career when you start to get into your late 30s. Mahomes isn't going to be that, Mahomes magic as much as when he was in his late 20s and early 30s, creating plays. So he's going to have to change his play style, I think, a little bit and become a little bit more of a pocket passer just because you lose that mobility. But, if he were to play another 17 years like Brady did and match, to 45 years old, I think he could catch him, but I don't see his career lasting that long. So it's going to be close. They'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, the tail of greatness, I think, comes with Brady is he's played in so many different eras against so many different
grades.
That's
also fact.
So it'll be interesting to see how, like you touched on, how Mahomes' game evolutionizes and changes with the times. And right now we're in a real pass-heavy, quick game, RPO, spread concept, NFL. And, when Brady was entering the NFL, it was real run-heavy. I mean, the backs were the engine that drove the bus. So, going on and seeing how the game changes and the different schemes and different concepts and new positions that emerge, like the fullback barely is a position now. But when Brady was getting into the NFL, it was a popular position. So how will football change? How will Patrick Mahomes change with it? I think we'll tell the tale of his greatness.
Yeah. Last question here for you, and I just heard somebody else talking about this. It was interesting. If Andy Reid goes and gets his third Super Bowl in a row, already having won a Super Bowl elsewhere, is Andy Reid going down as the greatest coach of all time? Does he surpass Belichick in that conversation? I want to pose the devil's advocate angle here of the fact that Bill Belichick without Tom Brady has nothing. Andy Reid without Patrick Mahomes has played in several NFC championships, has won the Super Bowl before, so he's done it without Mahomes. Does Andy Reid close the gap with a three-peat?
I think first off, we know what Bill Belichick is. He was very great. He was really good with the Browns. I think he was a defensive coordinator, I think, for the Browns for a while there when the Browns were good in the late 80s, early 90s. But, that's hard, man. Bill Belichick is the epitome of the best NFL coach. But I think from a standpoint of you see how beloved Andy Reid is by his players, they just give him so much love. And we've heard all the stories. The Patriots organization wasn't exactly a fun place to be.
No.
We've seen the stories of Bailey Zappi and those guys saying they were going to the wide receivers room to watch tape because they were getting terrorized in the quarterback room. As far as from a player standpoint, it seems like you definitely would want to rather play for Andy Reid. But I guess I just kind of see it's going to be interesting to see how his career shakes out and then where Bill Belichick goes from here.
Yeah.
Who knows? He could get with the team and maybe get another couple rings out of it.
Yeah. If Bill Belichick goes and wins another Super Bowl or two, then it's not even a conversation.
Yeah, then it's certified. There's no conversation. But
I
I think Andy Reid, he could catch him. He could catch him. He's a legendary guy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a good enough football player to even contribute to this conversation because those are two GOAT coaches, in my opinion, probably means absolutely nothing. But I will ask the question: is do you think that Bill Belichick created Tom Brady? Do you think that he truly is a system quarterback? Or do you think that his his stint at Tampa Bay disproved those factors? I mean, make your own opinion on that, but I will not pick a stance on this one because I'm not trying to get clowned for this.
I'm not old enough for this question.
Yeah,
not even old enough. Jerry's 16 and a half still. Bill Belichick is.
Yeah, right.
Jerry got his earners permit, man.
He got his tips, man.
No, I really appreciate you guys having me on, though. And real talk, man, it really did feel like we were sitting in the locker room just kind of wrapping it up like we always done in the past. So this is a really cool thing you guys are doing. So I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate all of our audience back home tuning in to yet another episode of The Lion's Den. Stay tuned. We got more content coming. Off-season's getting ready to roll, and wink, wink, here comes spring ball. Stay tuned for more episodes of The Lion's Den here on State Media.